Dogman hitting theaters worldwide, fans are beyond excited for the birth of this new franchise that's sure to last for years.
Perfect.
But did you know there were several scenes originally planned for the movie that ended up getting scrapped?
Are you saying I'm stupid?
One of the most intense and hilarious scenes that was completely cut from the film featured Lil Petey holding a bomb shaped like a giant missile. This scene comes straight from Dogman the movie's art book, which gives us a behind-the-scenes look at the creative ideas that went into the animation. In this version, the little kitten would accidentally find this powerful weapon, thinking it was just a toy. Of course, this would send Petey into full panic mode. After all, a kitten messing with a missile? That could easily lead to the villain's entire lab blowing up with both of them inside. Honestly, it was probably a good call to leave this scene out, but an even better idea is for you to get ready, because today, we're showing you 18 deleted scenes from the brand new Dogman movie. Welcome to another Cinewave. In the movie, we see Dogman patrolling the city when he spots Lil Petey almost getting hit by a truck. But according to the art book, their first encounter was originally very different. Instead of the near truck accident, Dogman was supposed to find Lil Petey in a dark alley during a heavy rainstorm. This alley was most likely behind the police station, but for whatever reason, the filmmakers decided to scrap this idea. In some leaked pre-release material, there was supposed to be a scene where the police chief and Dogman are riding in a sheriff's car, chasing criminals through the city at night. Unfortunately, this never made it to the final cut of the movie. It would have been awesome to see Dogman and the chief in a high-speed, action-packed chase sequence. The idea was to show how both of them were responsible for capturing Petey multiple times, but in the final version, the chief was completely sidelined and all the credit went to Dogman. There's one scene that wasn't exactly deleted, but it was heavily changed. Remember when Petey creates the Super Vacuum 2000, but Dogman tricks him and the machine ends up getting stuck in the ocean? Well, this idea was always part of the production, but if you check out the leaked footage, you'll notice that Petey was originally supposed to get stuck on top of the vacuum cleaner. Instead of falling straight into the water, Dogman would actually rescue him by surfing on a board. The two of them were even supposed to ride a massive wave together, but in the final version of the film, things play out a little differently. Instead of being trapped on top, Petey scratches the vacuum's water bag, which bursts and throws him into the ocean. Dogman still rescues him on a surfboard, but instead of surfing a giant wave, they end up just gliding across a much smaller one. Who else was waiting for Dogman's superhero suit? The movie's official art book makes it very clear that our police pup was supposed to wear a masked vigilante outfit inspired by Batman, but unfortunately, the filmmakers decided not to include it in the first movie. Chances are, we'll see this concept come to life in the sequel, especially since the evil mayor is still a huge problem that needs to be dealt with. But hey, don't be disappointed. If anything, this just proves that DreamWorks has plenty of reasons to keep adapting the Dogman comics for years to come.
Please don't, Larry!
One of the leaked images revealed that Dogman was originally going to capture Petey using a handcuff on his tail, but this scene was cut, and the reason might have to do with Petey's painful past. His tail is actually a sensitive subject since it was injured by his father when he was a kitten. Including this scene might have come across as disrespectful to Petey, especially since fans really love him and understand the emotional weight behind his injury. And what about you? Do you feel bad for the evil kitty? Comment #Petey so we know you're a fan of villainous cats. Another deleted scene that would have been hilarious was Petey's bank robbery using a mysterious green gas. This scene probably would have taken place before Officer Knight transformed into Dogman. Instead of using one of his high-tech gadgets, leaked material shows Petey climbing the side of the bank with a rope to break into the vault. This means that at this point, Petey didn't have the money to afford all his fancy toys yet. He was likely stealing just to fund his high-tech laboratory. Unfortunately, the movie didn't have time to keep this scene, so we never got to see it play out. If you pay close attention to the police chief's desk, you'll notice he has a coffee mug that says, "I love my mayor." Of course, everyone knows that's a total lie. He hates that annoying woman. But in the leaked material, he was actually supposed to have another mug that said, "I love cops." This detail is interesting because it could mean one of two things. He originally had a mug expressing his real feelings, but later swapped it for the fake one just to suck up to the mayor. The mayor was supposed to be fired in an earlier version of the movie, which would have allowed the police chief to get rid of the fake mug for good. Sadly, we'll never know the full story behind this, since the scene was deleted from the final cut. Another deleted detail can be spotted in the leaked image of OK City's train station. If you look closely at the bottom left corner, you'll see a criminal casually walking outside the station, showing just how full of crooks the city really is. This small background detail really helped emphasize that criminals in OK City don't even try to hide, confidently strolling around in broad daylight. But in the final version of the film, this moment was completely removed. Remember that scene where Dogman and Lil Petey are walking through the city, doing all kinds of fun activities like dancing and playing the piano? Well, in this same sequence, they were originally supposed to stop by Dippy's sweet shop. Dippy is a character from the comics, and in the movie, she's seen trying to buy Lil Petey. But in the deleted scene, Dogman and Lil Petey would have visited a massive candy store in the heart of the city. It's a real shame this part got cut. Everyone knows candy is awesome. Do you want a donut? Well, too bad. I don't have any. Go ask someone else. In one of the scenes where Petey gets arrested, we actually get a good look inside his jail cell. We can see he has a bed, a sink, and even some scribbles on the wall, one of them being a sketch of ADHD. This detail shows that Petey had already come up with the idea for the robot from the very beginning. But in the final cut, this scene was removed, and Petey was released much faster so the story could move along at a quicker pace. Speaking of jail cells, did you know that in Big Jim's scene, we were supposed to see him with 2 pet birds? That's right, and there's even a cute moment where he feeds them a worm. Big Jim was actually supposed to have a much bigger role in the movie, but the whole cat jail storyline was mostly scrapped so the film could focus more on Flippy's return. What do you think Big Jim would name his birds? One of them is definitely called Little Jim, but the other one? That's up to you. And you know what else you have to decide right now? Whether you're going to subscribe and turn on notifications, or get locked up with Petey. Now, looking back at the original comics, one major scene cut from the movie is the entire explanation of why this universe even exists. In Dogman, the graphic novel that inspired the film, the very first pages reveal that George and Harold from Captain Underpants are the ones who created Dogman. Seriously, this explanation happens before Chapter 1 even starts, but in the movie, they completely left it out. So when George and Harold do show up, audiences unfamiliar with the comics might have been super confused. Why are these 2 kids in the middle of all this chaos, and why don't they seem to care? If the film had included those original pages, everything would have made more sense. Of course, you already knew all this because you watch our videos. But still, maybe DreamWorks was counting on us to explain it for them. They probably thought, we can skip this part because Cinewave will save the day and explain it to all the fans. Honestly, what would cinema do without this channel?
Thank you.
Where is the brand new character created just for the movie? Alice is the name the production gave to Officer Knight's girlfriend, who breaks up with him after his accident. She was meant to play a bigger role in the story, but most of her scenes were deleted, and she was reduced to just a few of Dogman's memories. That's kind of weird, considering she was made specifically for the movie, but still barely gets any screen time. One character who was completely erased from the movie is Dr. Scum. In the comics, he's the mayor's partner in crime, helping her carry out all of her evil plans. But even though he was one of the villains in the very first Dogman book, the movie totally cut him out. And that's surprising, considering the first Dogman graphic novel was one of the main inspirations for this film. So they basically removed one of the original antagonists entirely. In the movie, Petey builds a squirrel-shaped tank, one of Dogman's biggest weaknesses. But doesn't that seem kind of weird? It's never really explained how Petey knew Dogman had a fear of squirrels. That's a pretty big detail. There should have been a scene where Petey discovers this and then uses it against Dogman, but that scene was cut. In the comics, Flippy disguises himself as a mysterious thief, tricking everyone into thinking Petey is the real criminal. But in the movie, this whole storyline was removed and replaced with a scene where the chief gives Dogman a presentation. If they had kept the original idea, it would have been so much cooler because it would have kept the mystery going until we finally found out that the real culprit was actually the chief's pet fish. Flat Petey is one of Petey's escape plans in the comics, and the movie does reference him a little. There's a scene where Petey interacts with his own reflections, but instead of including Flat Petey, the movie decided to focus only on Little Petey as Petey's clone. It's a shame though, because Flat Petey comes from the second Dogman book, which was one of the main inspirations for the movie. Maybe they just didn't have enough time to properly introduce him. You don't have to be sad that all these scenes were deleted. This kind of thing is totally normal in animation. In fact, some of these cuts might actually be a sign that a sequel is coming. Dogman will probably be back, introducing all the new characters we really want to see. But until then, you can hang out with us here on the channel. We've got 2 more awesome videos lined up for you, so click on one and we'll see you in the next one.